Hello, I'm Jay Hartlove. I'll be reading you a part of a story today as part of the San Mateo Public Library's Tales of Horror, sponsored by my friends at HorrorAddicts.net Press. This story is called The Gift. It was originally published in Christopher Garcia's Hugo Award-winning magazine called Drink Tank a couple of years ago. So let's get right to it. He stopped, frozen where he stood by what he saw at his feet. The shattered clock, which his wife had given to him, lay side by side with Alice's dead body. She hadn't thrown anything away. He had. His eyes welled up with tears, and he began to sob. He looked up at the angel and recognized the sweet smile. How many times had he been disappointed with her? How many times had he belittled her accomplishments, only to be met with that same smile of pure, devoted, complete love? How many times had he scoffed at her shows of affection? How many times had he refused to hold her hand or to kiss her in public? And now it was too late for any of that. He fell to his knees at the angel's feet and buried his head in her breast. The angel was cool to the touch, but he didn't find this disturbing. She smelled faintly of gingerbread, or was it newly mown hay? "Oh, Alice, I've been so horrible for so long. I've taken all my anger at the world out on you, and still you've given your life to save mine. And now you're going away. I'm not even going to have a chance to make it up to you." She put her arms around him and rocked him gently. "At least you can go knowing that I really do love you," he said, looking up at her. "I never wanted to hurt you. All those tirades really were just because I wanted better for you." She held him closer and rested her cheek on top of his head. "I guess we should be glad for this moment. I mean, it's not everyone who gets to say goodbye." He looked up at her again. "I just wish I had a chance to make it up to you. I guess I'm not going to get that." He put his head against her and sighed. Then he frowned. He took a deep breath and sighed again. He leaned back and sat up and looked straight at her and took a deep, clear, uncongested breath. "Am I cured?" he asked her. She didn't respond. Suspicion formed as a tiny grin at the corner of his mouth. "I'm not cured, am I? And I'm dreaming all of this, aren't I?" No response. "You're not dead at all, because I'm still sound asleep." He got up and started pacing and waving his arms again, only this time in joy. "What a fabulous, terrifying dream. Gregory's talking about medical specialists must have touched a nerve or something, but man, have I seen the light." He got back to his knees in front of the seated angel and held her hands in his. "I really have had my eyes opened here. I really will make it up to you, I promise." He smiled back into her eyes for a long, tender moment. "Thank you." She nodded and blinked once, slowly. He got a mischievous glint in his eye and suggested, "So I guess I should get back in the bed so this dream can end and I can wake up." As he got up and climbed into bed, the angel stood up and crossed the room to the light switch. He pulled the covers up and smiled at her one last time. "Good night, my love." And she turned out the light. Stanley woke with a nagging, grating tickle in his chest, and he found himself roused by a coughing fit. As soon as he realized he was awake, though, he was overcome with a mix of dread and curiosity. Was he awake? Had that been just a dream? Was Alice all right? He was alone in the room and couldn't hear Alice anywhere in the house. He crawled to the foot of the bed, pushing through his fear with each handful of covers, his heart pounding until he peeked over the edge of the bed. The floor was empty. He sighed out loud and fell over onto his back. He lay there for a moment, reveling in his deliverance. But he had to share this with his wife. He rolled over and was stopped cold. The clock was gone from the table. "Alice!" She appeared at the door, that loving, familiar smile gracing her face. He was thrilled to see her, but was chilled to immobility at the coincidence of the missing clock. He glanced at the empty table and then back at Alice. She held up the dustpan, which was still in her hand. He was out of the bed and had her in his arms in an instant. They never did discuss the details of the dream or how the clock had gotten broken. But Stanley did buy Alice another one, and many more gifts after that. He also called his son and took up the offer to help with the medical bills. And that's how the story ends. I hope you enjoy your Halloween. More spooky stuff to come. See you next time.